right now, Rangers broadcaster and knower of all things minor league baseball, it is Matt Hicks. Good afternoon, sir.
Hey, what's up? Good afternoon, guys.
Now, we've replaced Bruce Bochy with you today.
Yep.
Does that add pressure to this interview for you?
Yes, it does.
Good. That's what I wanted to hear.
Can you do your best Boch impression? Do you have one?
That's a yes.
Yeah, I can. I wasn't prepared for this, but let me see. Let me do this. Hold on just a second.
Got to clear it up a little bit.
We'll do this. I think there's a few all-stars in there.
I love it. That's great.
That's actually a Lou Brown impression.
Yeah, a little bit, but you know.
There are definitely some times I see the similarities there.
Boch at times definitely sounds like Lou Brown.
I'm with you on that.
Did you? I know you've got things going on in your life, and this kind of just broke a few minutes ago. Did you see that the Rangers gave the $100,000 to Nate Eovaldi, even though he didn't make the All-Star team? They went ahead and gave him the $100,000 bonus. Your thoughts about the way the Rangers approached that with him?
I did not see that, so thanks for updating me. And I think obviously that's a classy move by the organization, because when you take a look at what Nate has accomplished this season, I can't think of. I mean, obviously there are some elite pitchers in the game, but every time out, he's putting forth an effort that I think is better than what even anyone expected that Eovaldi could do. And I mean, everybody knew he was a great pitcher, but I mean, he's exceeded all those expectations. And to have an ERA that's below 1.6,
unbelievable,
with over 90 innings of work this year. So what is he, like 7 or 8 innings shy of being a qualifier? To me, it's sort of a remarkable achievement. So to be awarded for that, I think, is a really nice gesture.
I know Tarek Skubal is badass, and Jacob deGrom has been having a hell of a season, but do you think it's weird at all that somebody who is within striking distance of qualifying for all of these accolades, and in Nathan Eovaldi, who would instantaneously have a 3/4 of a run better ERA than Tarek Skubal, doesn't even seem to get like a whiff of a mention in a potential AL Cy Young race?
Yeah, I know. It's kind of weird. And if he should at some point be a qualifier, and I don't know, I was thinking about this the other day, given his current usage, and, one of the things that you definitely want to do is make sure that Eovaldi is healthy for the rest of the season. I'm not sure he even gets to 162 innings.
Oh, okay.
The rest of the way. So in other words, he might finish the season, let's say, with something around 150 or 155. So he's not a qualifier for the ERA title. And I don't know as though, obviously you've had some people that have won the Cy Young that haven't been qualifiers, when relievers have won the Cy Young. I think that he should definitely be in the conversation. But what happens is when people, if you've got a writer in Cleveland or you've got a writer in San Francisco, and they don't get a chance to see the Rangers hardly at all. And so they don't get a chance to see Eovaldi pitch. And when they just take a look at leaderboards, well, Eovaldi's name isn't on there because he's not a qualifier. So he's definitely not top of mind. And I think that's one of the reasons why there's not a narrative that involves him in the conversation, just because he's not a qualifier.
Hicksy, what's the trend you started to see right before the break that you didn't see early in the season that you think might be something that'll help on the back half of this year for them? And obviously they scored runs. That's nice.
Yeah, yeah. So, but that's also different, right?
Yes.
And it's not just scoring a few more runs on this most recent road trip. What was it? The team scored like 63 runs, so that's over 6 runs a game, and the team has scored over 5.5 runs per game going all the way back to, I think it's like June the 6th or June the 7th. So nothing to sneeze at. The fact that I don't want to say the offense is clicking on all cylinders, because the slug that we thought was going to be the 2025 Texas Rangers has not really fully blossomed yet. But I'll take 6 runs a game, down the stretch, given this pitching staff and given where the club is in the standings. Just earlier in the road trip, when you were looking at the wild card standings, the Rangers had, like, I don't want to say maybe it was 5 teams between them and that final wild card spot. Well, now that we start the second half on Friday, there are only 2 teams between the Rangers and that final wild card spot. So I think, getting a postseason berth is definitely a very doable thing, as long as the offense can maintain something close to what we've seen here over the last month. But, the trend is that you've got so many more guys now who are contributing on offense, as opposed to maybe just 1 or 2 guys who are clicking. And if you don't have those guys together in the batting order, then you're not going to, get too much in the way of a result.
And I appreciate all of that, and you're definitely right about the improvement of the offense since the beginning of June. But is it fair to say I still feel pretty shaky about the teams hitting with runners in scoring position?
Well, that's a tricky thing, because there are some teams that are very good that have a team batting average with men in scoring position roughly similar to the Rangers' team batting average in those situations. So the Rangers are hitting something like 230 now, I think, with men in scoring position. And that's, to me, you don't have to be hitting 260 or 270 in those situations. But one of the things I look at are number of opportunities with men in scoring position. So, for example, if you have a game where you are, I'm just going to pull a number out of my head, if you're 5 for 23 with men in scoring position, that's not a great average, but you got 5 hits with men in scoring position, so that probably means you scored 7 or 8 runs, depending upon the number of home runs. I think where the club has been lacking, and when you compare it to other teams, I always write these numbers down in my book before every game. And, and we've been playing some opponents that have had maybe 100, 120 or so more at-bats over the course of the season with men in scoring position than the Rangers have. So I don't look so much at that batting average as I do how many opportunities are you getting per game. And I don't know what it is right now, what the Rangers are averaging, but they've been definitely on the uptick in having many more opportunities. And so that's what I think is something that you need to look at. Are you averaging 5 opportunities per game, or are you averaging 8 or 9?
Right.
And if you're averaging 8 or 9, then I think you're probably on the right track.
We were having this conversation the other day, Hicksy, about, I think I asked the question, who could the Rangers not do without? And Kevin said Marcus Semien, and then laid out pretty much the best explanation of why. Like, it was phenomenal stuff by Kevin. I'm proud of you, man.
Thank you.
Just want to brag on you in front of Matt Hicks right now. But it was really good stuff. And I said early in the season, I think, and I've thought this for 3 years now, the way the Rangers go is the way Marcus Semien goes. Do you think that's a fair assessment based on how they've gone over the last few weeks here?
Yes, I do think it is a fair assessment, because Marcus is a leader in a variety of ways, and most definitely by example, and how he goes about his work, and how, he comes to work and does the same thing every day. In that regard, Corey Seager, same thing. These guys do their work prior to game time so that they're ready for the game. And we've seen the results from Marcus now for almost a 2-month period. And traditionally, he's better at this time of the year, June, July, August, than he is early in the season. Some other guys fall into that category as well. One of those guys whose bat has really started to uptick here recently, Kyle Higashioka, is a guy who traditionally has been better June, July, August. So you have some of those guys that are sort of filling in what you would expect based upon, their previous track record. But, it can't just be Marcus. It can't just be Marcus and
Right.
Corey. It can't just be those two guys and a couple of role players who are contributing. I think that one of the key guys for the club here in the second half of the season offensively is going to be Wyatt Langford, and what he can do, because he has so many different talents. And so keeping him healthy and keeping him productive, I think, is going to be a big factor in the Rangers' second half success.
Because it's been a disappointing second season for Wyatt, has it not?
Well, I don't know if I would slap the label disappointing, to this point in the season. I think that, number one, having him on the field. So he hasn't, played the entire season, but having him on the field on an everyday basis is key. We have seen great things from him so far. I think I mentioned this the other day in the broadcast. He's one of only 13 players in the major leagues to this point in the season that has at least 15 home runs and 15 stolen bases. So there aren't a whole lot of guys with that sort of combination of power and speed. And, that doesn't sound like a very big number. But again, there's only 13 guys in the big leagues that can make that claim.
Yeah, and Shohei's being ridiculous with 50-50, Like, what are we doing, setting that kind of unrealistic standard there?
We don't. We're not going to see that. But I mean, it's obviously well within reach that he could do 20-20 and maybe even 25-25.
That'd be nice.
And so, if he does something like that, I think that you can't say that it's been a disappointing season. The other thing you have to remember is these guys are young. Wyatt Langford is 23 years of age. Every time I think about that, I look and I'm like, gosh, my son is like 3 weeks older than Wyatt Langford.
Right.
And I'm just like, okay, we can cut this guy some slack because his level of experience at the big league level and in professional baseball overall isn't all that great. And he just continues to make amazing plays in the outfield. His bat is really something that is, there aren't a lot of guys that can swing it like him. I think he still has a ways to go in terms of, strike zone discipline and swing decisions and whatnot, but he's getting there. So he's learning, he's progressing. So, I would definitely not label this to this point in the season a disappointing year for him.
So, and not to be difficult, but with all of the positives you said, I think that's raised expectations as to why I think disappointing when I see, like, whether it's Jacob Wilson, James Woods, like, whoever you want to pick there. I think that's why I use that word, because we all agree he is so talented. I just thought you'd see a decided jump up from year one to year two, and you still could. But at this point in the season, I guess I'm not really feeling that.
Yeah, no, and I get it, and it's like it's just human nature to go, oh, okay, so this is our guy compared to those names that you mentioned. So how come our guy, isn't in the All-Star game? How come our guy isn't, achieving at a level that these other guys are? And in a way, that's kind of unfair because everybody progresses at their own rate. And I just think the future is incredibly bright for Wyatt Langford. And I don't want to say to fans, "Oh, you have to be patient." I enjoy what Wyatt is doing now, and hope that that the vector for him continues to be upward, because I think that sky's the limit, for a guy like Wyatt Langford.
I'm with you, man, and I'm hoping we see that sky on the second half of this. What is that biggest decision?
Me too, for the record. I don't agree.
I don't believe you, Kevin. I think you're lying.
Oh my gosh!
But what is the on the second half? What's the biggest decision that Chris Young, Bochy, and company have to make?
That's a question that's well above my pay grade. I think obviously the first decision that needs to be made, and right now, given where they are in the standings, and you'll pardon me for not having them in front of me, but I think we're like 3 to 4 games out of the final wild card spot, maybe
so.
Something like that. So, you've got 63 games remaining. So the first decision is, are we in? Are
3.5. 3.5, by the way.
3.5. How far in are we in terms of, what can we do to enhance this club's chances? What do we need to go out and get? And the thing of it is, too, is you got to remember that, the club essentially is, not going to put itself in a position to where at some point they're going to, exceed the amount of money they're paying these players as far as the tax threshold and the tax penalty is. So I think that there's a limit as to what they can do in terms of adding to the ball club for the remainder of the season. And in terms of addressing a need, our bullpen has been, I think, much better than people certainly thought it was going to be, but it's also been a very taxed bullpen in terms of work.
Yeah.
So I think maybe the bullpen could use some help, but where is that help going to come from, and can you afford it given the constraints that you put on yourself financially? So, it's not an easy task. Certainly, one of the things that Chris Young said earlier in the season is that he thinks that the team will improve from within, and I think that the team has done that. Maybe not to the extent that fans want to see, but I think that the team has gotten better. And so, hopefully that the trend continues. And the one trend that I think has to continue that's been so outstanding has been, the performance of the starting rotation.
So go with the monetary factors in mind. Do you think the fan base is going to be sad when they trade Adolis Garcia to free up some more money to go get that closer that the team so desperately needs? I read between the lines on that answer. I see where you're going with this.
I don't know where I stand on whether or not that's actually a thing that is going to happen. This Adolis in the second year of his 2-year deal, and it's much more money this year than what he made last year. So then, if he got dealt, how much money would the club have in terms of room to go out and get somebody to work in the bullpen? I don't know. I don't know if there are clubs out there that are hot for getting Adolis. I don't have a sense right now that that trade is going to happen, or that potential trade is going to happen. But that's just my sense.
Well,
Spidey sense.
Yeah, I like that. We appreciate it very much. And if you could send a pep talk to Josh Young along the way, we'd appreciate it even more.
Yeah,
thank you.
Back.
Yeah, thank you very much for the time and info, good sir.
There's no problem.